All right, so a few tips about this etude that we have to learn for Allstate. The biggest thing about this etude is contrast. I'm looking through most of this piece here, and there's almost on every single line, there's a different either articulation, a dynamic, or even a tempo change during one of the lines. So that's going to be a biggie for preparing this etude. Another thing that you should make a difference. I'm looking at the first 4 bars. There's plenty of accents there, so you want to make sure those are heavy but not punchy. So just be careful that you just take it easy, and then also making that difference between the staccatos and like the second line, which is in the 5th bar, making those nice and light. So staccato doesn't necessarily mean short; it means detached. So make sure those are not too short. And then one of the hardest things to do on the tuba is having a clear articulation. So one thing I like to do is I like to take a nice big breath. And when I do to take a big breath, I think, when I breathe in, I think, oh. And then I blow, and then I think of the syllable ta. So make sure you take a good breath and you say ta, ta when you articulate some of these notes in this etude. The slower section that's in the middle of the piece, this is your chance to be expressive. Very often as tuba players, we don't get to do that. So really, make a lot out of those phrases. And if you have vibrato, this is a good time to use it. So one of the biggest things with this etude is contrast. So at the beginning, there's accents. So let's talk about accents a little bit. Accents, you want them to be nice and clear, but not necessarily so punchy and heavy. So I'm going to play a couple different examples. The first time will be without accents, and then the second time will be with accents. That's without accents. Now I'm going to add the accents in. So I'm putting lots of front at the beginning of the note. So that's the most important part when you have accents. All right, so in the middle of this piece, there's the legato slurred section. And one way to work on your legato playing is to do it away from the instrument. So one thing I like to do is we'll take bar 13, for example. I like to use a wind pattern, which I take my hand about 6 inches from my face, and I blow just the pattern of the rhythm on my hand. So it'll look something like this. And you want to make sure that your air is nice and smooth, that there's no break, so it shouldn't sound like something like this. You want to keep your air nice and smooth. The next thing that I like to do is I like to incorporate the instrument to that. So one thing I do is I blow air through the tuba without making a sound, and I hit the valves. So that'll look something like this. Then after that, we can finally try to play it. And the most important part about a slur is just keeping that smooth stream of air. So yes, this is the Minnesota Allstate Etude, and just contrast is the biggest thing here. So just make sure that you're making a lot of changes with how you're playing each section of this piece.